Hey guys, welcome to our How to Get Started in Research workshop. I'm Teresa Blackman. I'm the Pre-Health Professions Advisor at UTC.
I'm Dr. Potts. I'm a professor in the chemistry department, and I also advise pre-professional who are chemistry and biochemistry majors. So today we're going to talk with you about how to get started in research, and we're just going to start off with a video. This happens to be a chemistry or biochemistry, biophysics major, so it's a little chemistry tainted, but research is for everyone. Keep that in mind. So hopefully this will play well. There's no sound. Wonder if you have to select a different sound on your computer for it to work. I don't know. We may not be able to show video today. Well, his name was Patrick O'Brien, who did research in chemistry with Dr. Symes, was a biochemistry and biophysics double major. Actually, maybe you could play it and I'll just talk over it.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've heard some good things about the chemistry department.
Oh, there it is. You can hear it a little bit. Nah, it's not worth it. I'm going to go ahead and mute it. Okay. So this is Patrick, and he is in graduate school now. He did research with Dr. Symes, and they were looking at nanofibers, I believe. Dr. Symes is an analytical chemist, and Patrick says in the video that this is doing research was one of the pivotal points of his education, because it really helped him focus what his interests were and how he wanted to proceed after he left UTC. So the focus of our talk today is more to let you know and how research can help support your journey to professional school. There you can see he worked on specialized nanofibers. Hopefully you'll have a better idea of how to get started with that. For Patrick, it really was just he had one of the professors for class, and he taught to one of the professors and then applied for the chemistry has a summer research program. But for other students, it happens in different methods. So that's what we're here to talk about today, is how can you get started in research. So first off, let's identify what is research so we can talk about what that is. So I grabbed the definition from the American Chemical Society, which states that undergraduate research in chemistry is a self-directed experimentation work under guidance and supervision of a mentor or advisor. Students participate in an ongoing research project and investigate phenomena of interest to them and their advisor. You can replace chemistry with any other discipline there. That's basically how research works, is you work with a mentor, and in some instances that mentor may be a graduate student. It depends on what program or discipline you're in on campus where you're doing your research. And in some instances that mentor may be a faculty member. And they guide you in the process. And I want you to keep that in mind. This is not something where they dump you in a space or they send you off on your own to do this on your own. This is something where our goal is you're learning, but we also guide you in the learning. So I have talked to students who've been afraid because they thought that it would just be them having to make decisions, but we work together to solve problems so that we can solve the ultimate, solve the research hypothesis that we're working towards. And research can be in all kinds of different areas. But what kind of characteristics are needed if you're interested in being a student researcher? Or what is it that you want to focus on? So critical thinking skills are really important. And if you're a first-year student, we're just starting to work on these. That does not mean that you can't do research. In fact, research will help you expand on your critical thinking skills. Looking at a problem and kind of thinking outside the box, that's pretty important. It's a good idea to be knowledgeable, but I will add on to that, you do not have to be a major in that discipline to do research in a certain discipline. So for instance, we have students who might do research in public health, which is only a graduate program on campus, but maybe they're a biology major. So you bring the knowledge that you have with it. And it is possible to do research as a first year student. That is definitely possible. And it just depends on the faculty member that you work with to decide what works for you. Some projects lend themselves to students who don't have the knowledge yet, and other projects you actually have to have some background in order to move forward. Some of the things I always tell my students is it's important for them to be reliable. Think of research as a job. So if you're going to be late, you need to let us know. Don't not come. This is unlike a class where attendance may or may not be taken. I have set aside my day, 3 hours of my day to work with students. And so it's important that you are reliable and I can count on you. And certainly if something happens, I have my students text me and say, just let me know, so that I'm not worrying about them. We like students that are responsive, meaning if we send you an email or a text that you get back to us so that we can engage in this conversation. Time management skills are pretty important, depending on if you're taking research during the academic year or if you are doing it in the summer. During the academic year, you sign up for credit hours typically, and those credit hours equate to, so if you did 2 credit hours of a research, that's 6 hours of, that's 2 credit hours of research on your schedule. That's 6 hours of research time, equates to 6 hours of research time. Whether it be in the lab, whether it be out in the field, wherever it is, it's 6 hours of time. So you need to add that into whatever it is you're thinking about and how you're managing your schedule. We find that over the time, if you don't already have these, you will develop them, but it's nice if you already have well-developed oral and written communication skills. Those will help in the process, and you will learn them as you do it. And it's important to have some interest in it. If you're just doing it to get a check mark on your resume, maybe you need to reestablish your goals of what you want to do in life. Because if you don't have an interest, that's going to show. It's not only going to show in your work, it's going to show in your interaction with your mentor. So, and also research doesn't always work well. In fact, most of the time you're solving problems to find other problems. So it's important to keep in mind that you need to be flexible. I had one student one year, we had this whole project planned out, and then when we started to work on it, it didn't work at all. We had no clue that it wouldn't work, but it didn't work at all. So we had to do a 180 and find a whole new project. So you need to be flexible. We're going to be as flexible as we can, but you need to be flexible as well. So what kind of areas? We kind of classified these into 2 broad areas that of research that would be helpful for pre-health professions. So there's a lab-based or field-based research. And if you look on campus, this is not meant to be entirely inclusive, but we tried to put every program on here that does lab or field-based. So biochemistry, biology and chemistry, environmental science, engineering, geology, health and human performance, math, and physics. So these are disciplines that tend to do laboratory or field-based. And like I said, you don't have to be that major to be able to do it, but you need to make that connection with a mentor. Then we also have the applied academic or social science areas. Some of these may also be field-based, but they're more based on lots of times response or survey data. It might be in-person response, that type of thing. But so the areas, the fields that fit those would be criminal justice, psychology, public health, and sociology. And we believe these are areas that would help support you in your application to professional school. For instance, English does do research. Philosophy does do research. But we're trying to look at disciplines that would help support you in your application to professional school. And as we said here, a healthcare interest does not require science-based research position. So it doesn't have to be science-based if you have a healthcare interest, but we're hoping it fits into these areas would help support your application. So what are the benefits? This is a very small list. There are so many benefits, we just couldn't list them all. What we hear from the students, of course, is this opportunity to learn beyond the classroom and actually apply theories. I heard a student talk about this the other day where they said that they didn't do well in chemistry for the first 2 years, and then they switched to French major for a year. And in their junior year, they came back to chemistry and they started doing research. And all of a sudden, their GPA went up. In fact, they were in trouble of losing their scholarships because they weren't interested in the chemistry classes. And once they started research, all of a sudden it became real. Everything that he was learning in the classroom, he was able to be applying, and he was very interested in learning that. And he is now a professor at Cal Polytech. So that was something that really, research really changed that for him, and that can do that for you as well. And the experience, of course, is something that you'll get outside of just learning what you're doing in the lab. There's a lot more out of it that you can get out of the experience. And as I already mentioned, there's some skills that you're going to gain when you do it. There's certainly the excitement of discovery, like, wow, that worked. And there's also in there, we should probably say, when things don't go well. So there is a time that things don't go well, but we accept that and move on. So it teaches you about disappointment. And certainly it does prepare you for professional, and if you're interested in graduate school as well too. This is a focus on pre-health professions, so we're focusing on professional school, and it will better prepare you for academic and graduate interviews. As a part of your application, they will ask you questions about your research, and at that point you will have been an expert on it, so you can talk all about it, and you will have gained those oral skills to talk about it, and it will make you more comfortable in the interview room for sure. So I think that Teresa is next.
So speaking of professional school, a lot of professional programs really value research. Specifically, medical school, dental school, and pharmacy school programs have, not every program will explicitly say this on their admissions website, but the majority of them, they speak research. They really, they like it. And it brings value not only to your application as a whole, but it gives you more substance in your interview, because you're able to talk with the folks that you're interviewing with more as sort of a almost colleague to colleague basis, because you will have professionals in those interviews. And so to be able to talk about your research, and if that's a field of research that they're interested in, it leads to a very natural conversation, which is good. In the era of COVID, professional programs are viewing research heavily, and as heavily as shadowing. So previously, especially for medical school, it was strongly encouraged / required that you shadowed a physician for a decent amount of time, because medical schools wanted to make sure you basically knew what you were signing up for, and kind of see what it was like to be a physician. Now with restrictions in hospitals and clinics, they're not even letting family members of patients in, so they're definitely not letting non-essential medical personnel, which would be a student shadowing in those facilities. Students are sort of scrambling to find relevant experiences, and medical schools have come out and said, we're gonna weigh research the same way that we weighed shadowing. So definitely this is something to look into. For physician assistant, OT, and PT programs, these programs do value research, but they still do require observation and direct patient care hours. And that's really important to note. If you're interested in those professions, do not think that research will be a substitute for those requirements. It's going to be really important that you verify how those programs are viewing direct patient care hours or observation during the pandemic. The best way to do that is to look at the program's website specifically. All of the national search engines for the professional programs are linked on the pre-health website under guide maps, so you can search specific programs and see what their requirements are. So just be mindful of that. Definitely do research, but don't think that that is all that you need to do. And research-based degrees and programs, they will favor applicants that have research. So if you're looking at programs such as an MD, PhD, which is a medical doctor and a academic doctor, doctor of veterinary medicine, DVM, PhD, same thing, and then a lot of PharmD programs, there is a core component of research. These are academic-based medical professions. And so if you are leaning more towards these type of degree programs, having research is going to be vital for you to be considered. Program or schools such as University of Alabama, Birmingham, UAB, Vanderbilt, Emory, and Duke, these are sort of regional universities that are heavy into research. If you're following any of the COVID research or any of the studies that are coming out adjacent to COVID-19, you may see a lot of these universities piloting these research initiatives. So these programs value research. So if they are on your list of places to apply, having research is going to benefit you greatly. You can get familiar with healthcare research. We mentioned previously, you don't have to be in a science-related research position, but it is helpful to get familiar with the kind of research that's going on in medicine right now. And I've linked a couple of sites in here for you. PubMed is massive. It's, I think, 30 million different pieces of research spanning any kind of field of medicine you could possibly think of. There are tons of articles and journals and things that you can read. We will be sending you guys the presentation afterwards, so not only will you be able to watch the video that we didn't have sound for, you'll be able to link into the stuff in here as well, so you'll be able to go to PubMed. The New York State Public Library has a fantastic healthcare sort of special collection that is a good place to check out and reference as well. So these are places to kind of dip your toe in the waters of medical research, find areas of interest, and you may find something that's super interesting, and then that can lead you to having conversations with faculty at UTC on some research that is in that field. Another good way to get familiar is to follow major universities on social media. If you popped in earlier, you heard me talking about the Yale College of Public Health. They are doing a lot of really cool things right now. A couple weeks ago, they are the ones that sort of made the connection between the saliva test that they use for SARS and COVID-19, and have been able to sort of move some advancements in testing forward. And so I follow them on Twitter and I get to see all kinds of things that they're doing. So follow these universities on Twitter. They're talking about what they're doing, and it's a good way to quickly get the details and the updates of what's happening, so that if you find something that you feel is really interesting and you want to explore further, you can utilize these resources and others to explore a little bit more thoroughly. And interviews will ask you current events. They will want you to be savvy about what's going on in healthcare. So that's another advantage of following major universities, major healthcare providers and organizations, to know what's going on in the world, so that if you get into an interview setting, either with someone who's looking to take you on as a research assistant or looking to admit you to their program, they ask you, hey, what do you think about this? You have thoughts to share with them.
So this is what you came for, is how to actually get started in research. And it turns out that we actually have a great office on campus that is focused on undergraduate research and creative endeavors. So it's the URACE office, that's how you say that. And they actually have workshops for you to, for getting started. So this is the link for that. I don't know if you click on it, I think you'll have to stop and share and then reshare. And I'm not sure if there's much more information in there than if you click on the link. They offer these regularly, so you can go, it'd be similar to this workshop, it's virtual. So you can go, and they also have more information on their website. So you can find out about if there's people who are, some faculty post open research positions with them. So you may see that posted on their website. They have a summer research program. The URACE office has a summer research program. So they have opportunities for you to apply for money for research, that type of thing. But also it gives you an opportunity to network with potential mentors. So if you're kind of apprehensive, like I'm not sure if I want to reach out to a faculty member or talk to them, that's all right. But this would be a good way to get started, because they're going to help you through the process and teach you how to do that. I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little bit, but ultimately, you know, your future is, you have control over your future, and faculty are, it's rare that faculty are going to reach out to you and say, hey, I have an open research position and you're the person that I'm thinking of. Because we have very large classes. I have a class of 72 people right now. So there's several people in there who might be excellent for research with me, and I don't know them well enough or know if they're interested in it. So this is where you know, you control your future, where you need to step out and talk about those types of things. So here are some other conversations kind of outside the U race. This is what I tell students when they come and talk to me. If you don't know what to do, start a conversation with a faculty member you have in class. So you're going to biology, general biology 1, and you want to talk, that professor knows who you are because they're in your class. So you could send them an email. And ultimately, it may not be the faculty member that you start doing research with. However, it will help you to start and have that conversation. Just the more conversations that you have, the more comfortable you will feel having them. But also it will help you balance the different types of research and see what might be a better fit for you. If you're a first or second year student, you might feel like you don't know enough about areas to be able to do research, but the more people you talk with, the more you will learn about it to understand kind of what area might fit for you. So go to the faculty member that you've had for class. The best recommendation I have is send them an email and say, I'm interested in research at UTC, and I would love to talk to you about your research. And you know, you're not asking them for a research position at a time. You just want them to talk about their research. And we love to talk. You know that faculty member love to talk. So if they have time, they'll probably schedule a Zoom meeting with you to talk about it. And then while you're there, ask them if they mentor undergraduates. Some people do only work with graduate students, but majority in the sciences on campus, I don't know if I know of anyone actually, and in the social science who don't work with undergraduates. So you should be able to ask them that question. And then, hey, you have undergraduates working with you. Can I reach out and talk to them? Can I make that connection and find out what it's like? What's the experience like, not only in general, what research is like, but what is it like to do research in this area and work and mentor with, have you be our mentor. So once you maybe have done that with a faculty member that you're in their class, maybe you say, well, that's not research that I'm interested in, but I know I want to do like maybe some genetics research, but I haven't had genetics yet. So how would you find out about genetics on campus? That's when you start using the UTC website. So you can investigate the department websites, click on the faculty members, and look and see what their research is about. And I will say at this point, make sure you select professors, not lecturers, because typically lecturers don't do research. The caveat to that is Dr. Sanchez Diaz in chemistry and physics. He's actually a biophysics professor. He does research and he's a lecturer, and he does biological research. So and he picks up a lot of students. So just that's just like a little plug for him. He's great that he does that as a lecturer. It's not a requirement of their job. So focus on the faculty researchers, and then there will be a couple lecturers who do actually do research as well. And then you reach out to them in a polite email. You don't know me. I read about your research on your website. I really liked this. Tell them, you know, what it is that you liked. And that's interesting because they'll be like, oh, someone read my research. No one reads about my research. And then ask if you can meet to discuss their research. At this point, you're not asking them, can I work in your lab? That's not it. You want to ask them first to have that conversation. And then when you're in that conversation, you'll learn, hey, am I interested? Am I not interested? And then you'll also find out if they have space in their lab or if they're looking for students, that type of thing. I've had a couple students reach out to me already this semester, and they're disappointed. I think that I told them I'd be happy to talk with you, but I don't have space for you right now. I have 2 students. There are some people who take more than that, but at 2 students is kind of my limit, and I have 2 students. So when you're starting this conversation, don't be disappointed, but also think that this is probably going to take a semester just to get started. See, research on campus during the academic year is a class that you sign up for. You can't register for classes after this point. It ended over the weekend. So at this point, there would be a conversation to maybe start research in January. or do research in the summer. It's going to be probably something that's going to take a little bit to get started. So you're going to have patience. I'm not sure if we had that on our list of things, but patience is definitely something that you need to have in research, because things break, not everything works all the time that you're trying to do. So you do need to have patience. Sorry, I was looking at my slides and it's up here. So as I've already mentioned, there are courses on campus that you can take for research for 4995, 4997, and 4998. This is in every discipline. It's the same course code. 4995 is actually departmental honors thesis. And that's if you decide that you want to do honors thesis in your own discipline. And there's a whole application process for that that goes through the honors college. And that would be something you would talk about later, kind of after you've already had this research mentor conversation, because usually my students will start with me on what's a 4997, which is a typical research semester. We get into it, they start to see if they're interested, and then they say, oh, I want to do a departmental honors thesis. And so then they do the application for the 4995, which runs through the honor college. 4998 is called individual studies, I believe. And that is, sometimes you will end up, even though it's called individual studies, it does end up sometimes being 2 or 3 people working together. And faculty members use that a lot for kind of variable things, but it also is an opportunity for research. We on campus, you can be paid in the summer. You also can take research courses in the summer. But keep in mind that if you take a class in the summer, you do have to pay for it, and it will count towards your 120 credit hour limit. So keep that in mind. So in the summer, in chemistry, we actually pay you. So that's where the other financial support is. And we have a summer research program. And so if you're thinking about you're wanting to do chemistry research, our actual application process for our summer research program runs in October. It usually starts October 1st, and the submission is by October 31st. It's on our website. It'll get posted probably at the end of September. There are other programs on campus where you might find some pay, but the big one is the URACE program. So the URACE office, the Undergraduate Research and Creative Endeavor office, and we have a link there for you, that they actually have some different funding that you can apply for, so that you can pay, because also it's difficult to, you know, be on campus for the summer when maybe you needed to have a job instead to get some money. So that would give you an opportunity to do that. Now, outside of campus, there are some other opportunities for pay as well. And one of those is through the National Science Foundation. This one specifically is called Research Experience for Undergraduates. It's in many disciplines. There's all kinds of disciplines. And the deadlines are usually in early spring. So if you can't find what you're looking for on our campus, you can maybe apply for something at another campus. They are competitive. I did 2 of these actually before I came before I went to graduate school. So when I was in undergraduate school, I did one after my sophomore year and one after my junior year. And my sophomore year, I was on the wait list. I didn't get in until someone decided I didn't want it. And so I spent a summer at Notre Dame. I got in on that one. And then the second summer, I did research at the University of Michigan. What I will tell you is once you get in on these things, they are great summer experiences. They do a lot of good things. They pay a better salary than anything that we can pay. It's usually upwards of $5,000 for the summer. They'll pay your housing. So, you know, if we pay you for summer research at UTC, we probably can't afford your housing. So you're paying housing and getting paid, but you still have to pay for housing. And they also usually pay for travel to get to where you're coming from. So you're thinking, oh, she was at Notre Dame or she was at Michigan. They pay for my travel back and forth. I actually lived in Ohio, so it wasn't as bad as you might think. But I had a student who did one in Mississippi in soil science. She's a chemistry major, and she did one in Mississippi in soil science, and they paid for all of that. So they have all kinds of different areas, and you can click on that link right now and search and see, because these are things that are already posted and up, so you can look and see what all the ones, you can go ahead and look at that, just see what's available. But they are competitive. There are other programs. If you search research programs in the country, there may be other programs. This is just one of the biggest ones.
So some options outside of UTC that are a little bit more healthcare related. University of Alabama School of Medicine, they have clinical research clinical and research for undergraduate programs. There's probably maybe 10 or 10 to 12 different research application programs that you can do. I checked last week, they still haven't updated for spring or for summer of 21, but it ranges from infectious diseases to biomedical sciences to neurology. I mean, it's the whole gambit. It is really, really cool, the various things that you can do. I do believe there is some pay and some expenses that are covered there. I've given you the link here, but then it's also on the pre-health advising website. And then Vanderbilt does a really cool program with the LGBTQ community, doing research on specific health and healthcare concerns that that community has. That application, I believe, is up. And there's some videos and a lot of testimonials and things for that program. And both of those are on the UTC pre-health advising website, as well as linked into this presentation.
So I would say, before we do questions, I just want to say the takeaway is really this is on you. Like, I mean, gather as much information as you can and then start reaching out, and don't be disappointed if you initially don't get the answers that you're expecting. And also, just to let you know, I mean, I get probably 100 emails a day, not for students asking to do research. I get 100 emails a day, so I can't reply to everything, and the other faculty are the same. So have some patience. If you send the email and you don't hear back from them for another week, maybe resend it. Hopefully on the second send, you'll hear back from them. Or maybe move on to a different faculty member. We have over 500 faculty on campus. There, hopefully we can make a good connection with that. So then I would say, hey, do we have questions? Do you have anything else to add?
Just that we actually have a panel of faculty that are going to be joining us for our second part of this workshop series on October 19th. And it's going to be various faculty around campus. We've tried to hit as many disciplines as possible, and I think we have a really good representation: engineering, the natural sciences, the social sciences, and these folks are going to be coming and talking about their specific research and then what opportunities their areas have in research. So it'll be a good chance to pick the brains of a lot of different faculty that work in research at UTC. And now it's question time.
Questions, yeah.
I have one question and / a comment for the rest of the people on this, or students on this Zoom call. My first question was, how long should we complete research? Like, if you're planning to attend a professional school, like what is like a good range of time?
I'm going to give you 2 answers.
Mm-hmm.
So from a faculty perspective, a 1 semester of research is not enough to complete a project. Mm-hmm. 2 semesters usually is enough to complete a project. 1 summer is enough to complete a project if you're working full time in the summer. So when we do summer research, it's 40 hours a week. So everyone comes 40 hours a week. But what I will say is that some people may feel like you need it longer than that. Now, from the pre-health perspective, I'm not sure if Teresa has a different answer, but I would say also they want to see that you have some results and something from that. And I would think at least 2 semesters would be needed for that. Is that what you would think, Teresa?
Yeah, they want to see some consistency. You know, there's a lot of sort of hidden skills within research. If you've stuck with a project from start to finish, you have a lot of other good, valuable skills that they're looking for. And so they want to see that. They don't just want to see you research for a couple of weeks, because there's lots of questions about, like, well, why wasn't it longer? And you want to research long enough to be able to speak with confidence about what you've done. And I just don't think that you can do that if you've stepped out of a project before it's done, or you've only researched for a couple of months. Because remember, you're going to be sitting in a room with experts, and there's no faking it till you make it. They're going to call you on the things. And if you don't know those things, then that will cause you a lot of problems. So I would concur.
I'll also add on top of that, in the spring semester, the university has a research presentation, 2 days actually. It's called Research Dialogues, where it's 2 days of presentations. So if whatever discipline you do research in does not give you an opportunity to present off campus, that is a great opportunity for you to present your research on campus. So that gives you not only experience of presenting, so something to put on your resume, but you learn when you present. So there's a part of, if you're given a talk, putting together the talk, or if you're making a poster, putting together that poster, there's parts of learning from that. So by doing it for 2 semesters, let's say you started in the fall, then you could do it in the spring and present. Usually it's like the second week of April in the spring. So that would be almost 2 full semesters of research. So.
Yeah, because I think I will be presenting in that dialogue with the UR's office, well, UR Talks program, and I think that's what they plan for us to do. So I was like, okay, we're starting right now, and it's going a little rocky because I'm not getting what I want. But what you said today was like, you know, it's okay to like, you know, not have it all together at first. So.
So you had said you had something else. You had a comment, or was that it? Was that the comment?
Oh, I was also going to just encourage, I don't know like everybody's like financial situations or anything like that, but definitely apply to the UR Tops program if you have the academic service, or if you are work study, that you can basically get paid to do research through that office. It closed for this semester. I think it opens up next semester, and I know for sure next school year.
You have such good comments, Faith. I love it. Other
Questions?
Don't be shy. Use the chat box.
We were so thorough, Teresa.
I know. That's what it is.
Okay, so my question is for Dr. Potts. When you're looking for like research assistants or pretty much like any other faculty member, do you know what they look for? Like, what do you look for in a research assistant? Or when you get
So students come to talk to me. First thing is I'm interested that they've done their research. Have they gone and looked at my stuff that's on our website that talks about what I do? Do they come to me and say, I just need to do research because I'm a UHAN student? Let me tell you that's an immediate turn off because you're only doing it because you want to do UHAN. That's not a good reason to do research. You want to do research to expand and grow on yourself. And yeah, you're going to get that UHAN experience out of it, but that's not the point of research, to get a check mark for UHAN. So I would say that you need to approach it as this is an opportunity to expand my education and my learning. And so that's one of the things I look at. The other thing is I do look at, for me personally, so you need to ask the faculty member this. Personally, I just, I'm super busy, and everyone says, oh, I'm super busy. I have 3 jobs on campus. I really do. I'm a full professor in chemistry. I run the integrated studies program, which several honor students are in that program. So if you want to learn about it, you can ask some of your friends. And now I'm also the co-director of school professional studies. So I have like 27 faculty and staff who report to me. So I'm like a department head as well. So I do all of this stuff. So my time is really limited. So when students come to me, I need them to have some experience with the classwork. So I pointed out several times that I said, freshmen, it's okay, you can do research, but I am not looking for freshmen. So if you're wanting to learn about your research, I'll happy to talk to you about it. But if you're a first semester freshman, I am probably not going to accept you into research in the spring semester, because I want you to have quantitative analysis done, which is the class that I teach that has all the skills that you need. So I can say, go in the lab and go do that part. And that part you can do without my input, but I can help you on the other things that you need. So what I would say is make sure that you ask the faculty members, what skills do you think that, what are the skills that you think that they need for students? And there are some people, I know that it's easy to work with freshmen with their research. That's fine. And mine would be if I had time in the chemistry department all day, every day to be there and help, and I just don't. So asking me specifically, that's a little different. But yeah, the real thing, I think the true thing is interest. Like showing that you truly have an interest in it, and that the interest of discovery, like you really want to learn, like that's something that resonates with us when you come and talk to us. Like I had a student last semester who came to me and said, I read about all these projects and this is the one I'm really interested in working on. And I was like, well, I'm not really doing that one anymore, but why did you want to do it? And after he talked with me, that's one of the ones we're doing right now. So because he was so interested in it, it turned me to want to continue that project. So really do your research on like your background on what it is that you have an interest in, and then go into the conversation with the faculty member invested. So,
Got it.
and I see we have one in the chat. I didn't have a chance to read it.
So once you complete one type of research, such as biology, can you then go on to a different type of research, possibly like psychology, if you're interested in doing research in both? Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm shaking my head. I thought you would answer. Yeah, absolutely. We have
Yes.
students do cross disciplines all the time. And in fact, I have students who are chemistry majors who are doing biology research. The biology department is a bigger department, and so it's easier for them to take on more students. They just have more faculty. So we have students who do that. We have students who will maybe do a psychology project. I know a lot of students actually who took an HHP class or something and might do research in that area, and then they changed majors. So they have the research from HHP and then change majors. So yeah, I don't see any reason why. And you might be able to find someone who does a mix. So like if you really have an interest in biopsychology, which there's a class, biological psychology, that's taught by the psychology department. You might look in to see who the professor is who teaches that, because most likely that professor does research in that area. So for instance, I mentioned earlier Dr. Luis Sanchez-Diaz, who is a biophysicist. So he does physics and biology. He's a a physics professor in the physics area, but he does biophysics, and it borders on biochemistry what he does as well. So it kind of mixes other disciplines. So yes, absolutely.
And it can bring a lot of diversity if you're coming to someone saying, I have this background in this kind of research, that's psychology based, but I'm really interested to see how the psychology interacts with this other discipline. That can, again, bring some authenticity to what you're talking about, and bring some diversity. So it's really helpful. So another question is, so as a freshman, I should mostly focus on forming relationships with professors rather than doing research. I mean, yes and no. You definitely want to develop relationships with professors, because the more you get to know a professor, the more details about their research you will learn, you'll develop a relationship, and you'll be able to demonstrate some of those qualities that Gretchen referenced earlier. It's really hard to say, I am reliable. Okay, cool. Like everybody can say they're reliable, but are you reliable? As you develop a relationship with a professor, you'll be able to demonstrate those qualities that we look for when we look for research folks, that are not as easily, like you can say you have them, but do you really have them? But, as Dr. Potts mentioned, some folks do take on freshman research, and if you want to jump in and do research as a freshman, absolutely.
And I wouldn't discourage you from trying. Like
not at
I
all.
hope that we did it. I didn't mean to discourage you. I just wanted to tell you the other side of it is, don't be discouraged if you can't find someone when you're a freshman. But if you are so determined to do research, keep asking. Just keep asking, and you will find somebody. And he may not like me for this, but Dr. Barbosa takes on a lot of students, and he takes a lot of freshmen. And you may work in the teaching and learning garden, but he does take students as freshmen. And there are other people in chemistry who do too, Dr. Pinkos, Dr. Young. So there are people who take freshmen. So don't be discouraged from what I said. What I would just say is, if you are that is something you really want to do as a freshman, you need to start now, start having these conversations. So for the spring semester, you could definitely get in on some research. Right now, I will say it is a little late, because you do need to enroll in the class. Some people may let you in, but it's a liability issue if you're not enrolled in the class, for us covering you insurance-wise. And so that's why we have you take the class.
They said thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
We touched a little bit on it when we were talking about research dialogues, but presenting is really good. Presenting is another fantastic way to benefit your resume, to increase your standing with a graduate program or professional program. So definitely look at getting involved in honor societies. They often will have conferences where you can do poster presentations or paper presentations. Different disciplines present their research differently. So while you may not be researching with a faculty member, you may get connected with, so for instance, for the history department, Phi Alpha Theta is the National Honor Society, and students present their research at anywhere from a regional to a national conference. I was a history major as an undergraduate student, and I presented a ton of papers all over the place. And you get really comfortable explaining your research, why you cited a source, why you included something, why you didn't include something else. And that makes you really comfortable talking about the topics and talking about your work. Those skills can not only translate through the application process in a professional program, but can actually help you be successful when you get into medical school or pharmacy school or what have you. So those are other ways that you can research that's not working with a faculty member. A lot of honor societies will admit students once you have 12 hours within that discipline. So be on the lookout in your major. If you're doing well, keep an eye on your email at the end of the semester. That's when they start sending out those honors society invitations. Check them. Go to the ceremony, be it virtual or real, in person, and be a part of the honor society. That's a good way to do some research as well.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
If we're reading about different topics of research that we find interesting, how do we kind of find if any of the professors at UTC are doing research along those lines?
So really, I would probably just search the website. So Teresa, can you give me share access?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Let's see.
There you go.
Okay. Okay. So by the way, this is the URACE website where they talk about how to the link that we sent you, how to attend a getting started workshop, and then you can have a consultation. Then they have FAQs and mentors you can sign up for. So they have all kinds of great things for you to go on here. But I would probably just go to the home website and, well, see, I gotta go here. That's they have this new website going on. And so let's say that I was interested in biological psychology. I'm just typing that in. I can't spell psychology. That will search the UTC website, and things will come up that fit for that. It may take you a second to kind of look and see what will come up, but here's a professor. She does work in biological psychology. This is Nikki, I can't think of her last name right now, Nikki Osbeck, and she actually takes a lot of research students and does a lot of research. So it says she's emeritus, so she's retired, so she may not actually be doing research anymore. But that's a good way to do it. If you want to say, okay, I'm thinking that maybe I want to do it in just a certain department. So let's say that you wanted to do it in health and human performance. And what I will say, I guess we didn't talk about this, is in the sciences, it's rare that you would come to a faculty member with a project and say, I want to do research on this. A research portfolio that a faculty member has is what they share with the students. So for instance, you're like, oh, I'm interested in how diabetes drugs do this or something like that. There's probably not going to be someone at UTC who's working on that. So you'll need to alter what you're interested in, because if a student came to me wanting to do something, I'm looking at these projects that I want to work on that I need to get finished. So keep that in mind. So anyways, we're searching for health and human performance. And so once you're in here, they have a new website as well. Let's see. What I want to find is, here, HHP faculty. So you click on the list of faculty. And it will probably take some time to click on each person. So this is Dr. Roselio. She's in athletic training. So you click on it, and she doesn't have anything else in her program. So, but if you were interested in an area that had to do with exercise science or athletic training, you might click and just send her an email and ask her what her research is. Other people have their research posted on their pages where you can click and read about what their research and what it is that they're doing. So, and then let's say that you were interested in a specific faculty member. So I'm going to write Dr. Kovac and research, and let's see what comes up. Well, here it is. And she has all her research interests and things posted on here. So you can read about it. She's in the biology department, and she has a lab website. So does that help?
Yes, thank you so much. That
You're welcome.
very clear.
Sorry, I have a question. Like
Yeah.
another one. So it's okay to reach out to people who like aren't your professors?
Absolutely. 100%. But just first off, just be aware that some people may blow you off. Not everybody is like going to reply to emails. I'm just going to tell you that. It would be great if we had 500 really like totally engaged faculty member who read every single email, but it's just going to happen that some people will blow you off. But the majority of them will reply. And I would say if it's someone you don't know, make sure you tell a little bit about yourself. You know, I'm a second-year student. My major is psychology, and I'm really interested in learning more about your research. And I was wondering if we could schedule an appointment to discuss it.
Okay.
That's like a typical email. I want to know a little bit more about you, so tell me, you know. And I've had students, I had a criminal justice major do research with me who was interested in forensics. So, I mean, we do research with people outside of our disciplines. But it was niche. Like I was saying, he was interested in forensics. I have an interest in forensics. So that's why it fit with me. So.
Okay, just because I'm part of the Brock Scholars, and we had like the student research fellowships, and there's like so many I wanted to like apply for. But also with that, like since I'm a freshman, I struggled to like know what my qualifications were. So is that why it's better to like wait? Sorry.
So can you tell me, I don't know anything about this student research fellowship program you're talking about. So I don't know anything about that.
Oh, it was just like a list of professors who were doing research.
Oh, that's something different. I'll tell you about that.
Oh, okay.
And both of you who are UHAN, don't tell Dr. Oday I know this.
This is being recorded.
This is being recorded. It's okay. He knows. But basically, those are like, if you're interested in it, you read it, and you're interested in it, then you apply for it. If there's someone who is an older student, usually I think they have preference. I think they have preference to older students. But there are sometimes projects that don't get funded because no students had interest in it. So yeah, like I didn't put up a project this time because I just didn't have time to do one. But I put in projects where I did one where we were doing, it's a history project, and they were doing archives for something in the library for me. And ahead of time, I talked to a Brock scholar and said, hey, I have this project. Are you interested in it? And they were the only one interested in it. And because it was a student who was a chemistry major, and she just signed up for it, and so she did it. So you don't have to, those are basically funding projects out of the Honors College to help pay for things. So they give you a salary, you earn $1,000, and it gets a little bit of work done for us. So the competitiveness of it is the number of Brock scholars who apply, the amount of money that they have, and the level. Because I do think that Dr. Oday gives preference to students who have more tenure, who might need money. Like, you know, that's kind of how I think that's how he does it. I don't 100% know. But from what I've seen, everyone I've submitted has been funded, but it was based on a student was interested in the project.
Okay. I was just confused. I thought they were the same
Yeah.
thing. I'm sorry.
That's a little separate. Like when I do that, I don't put forward for those things that Dr. Oday, for me personally, because it's not enough time for the student to do what they need to do in depth. And I'd rather have you take credit for class. So I don't do that. There are other areas who can't get undergraduate researchers. That's what they do. There are some places that struggle with getting them. And in fact, even I know like that some of the graduate programs will do it. So like PT and OT, they'll put in projects because they don't have undergraduates in their program. It's a graduate program. So they'll bring in undergraduates with that to help get some research done.
Okay, thank you so
And
much.
so therein is the benefit of, you know, for lack of a better way to say it, cold calling professors via
Mhm.
email, and expressing interest in their research, they may not be in a department that does a lot of research, or they may not have ever had research help before, but a student that reaches out to them and says, hey, I would like to research with you, then sparks the light bulb of, oh, well, I have this project I've been wanting to do, but I haven't had time to do it. But if I have a research assistant, I could totally get it done. And so you kind of create your own opportunities by just testing the waters. So there's really no harm, there's no bad that can come from reaching out respectfully and saying, hey, I'm interested. I'd love to talk to you about your research.
I would also say that this happens at the start of every semester. I mean, I think Dr. O'Day sent them a couple, maybe 1 or 2 weeks before the semester, he sent the email and said, send your projects. And so we email our project, or it's a form, but we fill out our projects for him. And then for like 2 weeks, the honor students get to look at them. And then we just got the email, I think it came this week, about who got funded. So if you go to a professor and they're like, I don't know, I don't have money, hey, there's at the beginning of every semester, there's an opportunity. So, but that's only, I will say that's only for the honors program. But the other opportunity is to take research for credit and do it as a class. So. And in chemistry, one more thing, sorry. In chemistry, it's elective that you need in the chemistry major. You need 2 electives in chemistry. And so you can do research and the count as those electives in chemistry major.
A lot of other majors do that as well. Psychology, I think, has some built-in research, justice, biology. So
it's like it counts as like credit for a class.
Yes.
Like, every time you do it.
If you're enrolled in a class.
Okay. So
if you're enrolled in that 4995, 4997, or 4998.
Okay. And like, does that normally count for your major?
If your major has it.
What's your major?
Psychology.
If you look at, there's a place, there might be a place for electives where you pick from a list. Look and see if the 4995, 4997, or 4998 is on that list. But the other opportunity is if there's electives just electives in the psychology major.
Okay.
So.
Which there are. Psychology has a really robust offering of general electives, but also if you look on the clear paths for advising, and I can link that in when I send you guys the presentation, it will show you at the very bottom of each clear path, because the clear path is the breakdown of how many, what classes you take when you take them throughout 4 years. At the very bottom, there's sort of I like to call it degree schematic, where it says you take X amount of general education hours, X amount of major specific hours, and then it will list general electives. So if you're in a major that has general electives, if your program doesn't have research built in the way that chemistry and psychology and some of these other programs have it set aside, then you could still take the credit course and it will fit into that elective spot. You just want to make sure you talk with your major advisor to make sure that you haven't used up all of those electives, and that you're following all of the rules and timeline of your major. But that is a good way for you to check to see if you have that option for you. Now for engineering majors, education, biochemistry, biology pre-professional, nursing, there's no electives. But a lot of those programs do have a research component built into the degree. So any other questions? We're right at 4 o'clock, so we did good.
Well, I hope to see you in October if you have more questions. And, my email is on our website, so you can always send me an email if you have more questions. Just drop in that, make sure you put the email. I was in that research session, so I center myself and know what I was telling you when you email me. So
exactly. So October 19th, like we said, is our next research focused workshop, and that's when we have our panel of faculty. So make sure that you sign up for that. Same way you guys signed up for this event, go to the pre-health website, you'll get sent the Zoom link. And then if you have any questions, definitely follow up with myself or Dr. Potts. We're happy to talk with you, and hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Stay safe.
See you later. Thank you.